Hi, I'm Paul Guppy with the Washington Policy Center, and this is our regular update on our program and things that we have been doing, research and events that we have, and also what we have coming up. So the big events in October were our two annual dinners, one held in Seattle with John Mackey, of the CEO of Whole Foods, was the main speaker, and in Spokane we had Dr. Ben Carson was the main speaker there. But the funnest thing about these events is we were able to hold them in person, following the current rules that there are in the state. And they really were a lot of fun. There was a lot of excitement and enthusiasm. We had great attendance at both events. In Spokane, we broke records on attendance, over 1,000 people there, close to that number in Bellevue as well. And then we had a separate dinner event at the same venue for our young professionals program, and they had several hundred people attending that as well. So it was a lot of fun to get together. People had a good time, and we also had a great program and heard from some great speakers. It was nice to have John Mackey because he's from the private sector. Often we have governors and important politicians, public leaders, but it was a nice change to have a business leader there who is an unabashed defender and promoter of capitalism. In fact, his key quote was that he said, "Free market capitalism is the most powerful system for social cooperation ever." And he pointed out that free market capitalism is ethical and promotes justice because it is based on voluntary exchange. And that's really our core value here at the Washington Policy Center. And there's so much promotion of socialism, particularly in Washington State, that this was an important message for us to bring out, and we will continue to promote that. In Spokane, Ben Carson was a lot of fun. He's very personable. He gave a great speech that was very inspiring. And as I said, it was a lot of fun for everyone to get together. Regarding issues, we are now looking forward towards the fall election, which is coming up immediately here. So we have put a section on our website of election resources, as we usually do. And then this year is a little different because we are actually closely tracking elections in Seattle. We often don't get involved in local issues, and we certainly don't get involved in campaigns. But Seattle is going through a controversy over how it should be governed. So there is a slate of reform candidates running for city attorney, mayor, and city council. And again, we don't follow these races in detail, but there is definitely a different philosophy is being promoted in Seattle based on good public services, public safety, dealing with the homeless program, improving schools in a way that could be reflected across the state. So the reason that's important is because increasingly the Democratic Party is based in Seattle. Most of their legislative members in Olympia come from districts in the Seattle area. So we will see how these reform races come out in the major city of our state. And I think that will begin to change the thinking among the Democrats about what approach they take to governing. And again, often ideas that are promoted in Seattle are then proposed for the rest of the state, and that creates a statewide debate. And that's why we're following that very closely. We'll see how the election comes out. Also, Jason on our staff has done a video on a sales tax cut. The state is taking in a huge amount of extra revenue. Our view is that that surplus should be returned to the people. A sales tax cut would help lower income people the most. The sales tax hasn't been cut since the early 1980s. But with inflation coming, with supply chain shortages, we think we are headed into some hard economic times. And now would be the time for our state leaders to provide tax relief, again, in a way that is across the board and benefits everyone. Next, Maria on our staff has been doing great research with the Department of Transportation. She has been trying to measure what is the actual impact of the dismissals that are happening as a result of the vaccine mandate. What she found is some 402 transportation state employees have been fired as a result of the governor's mandate, and that 40% of those firings are in the maintenance department. So it is not across the board. It is actually affecting those services that directly help the public. With the weather changing, Maria is pointing out that we can expect more delays on our roads, more dangerous driving conditions, delays in clearing ice and snow. And so that's an effect to watch out for in the future. I think the governor thought that he would not have to fire that many people, and he seems to be sticking with that. But what we're finding is that the firings are happening in specific public safety areas, fire, police, and now road maintenance. Another issue is we are preparing for 2 big payroll tax increases that are coming in January 1st. One is an increase in the family leave entitlement tax, and another is a new long-term care tax that many people have heard about. We've been following this closely because we thought that people should have a choice to opt out and be able to get their own private long-term care insurance rather than being forced into a government program. We got that, but then we see that they're slow walking the exemption, and they're actually terminating it in November. About 200,000 people have applied to opt out, but we don't know how many the state will approve. But after that date in November, nobody's going to be able to opt out. And then on January 1st, these 2 new payroll taxes will hit paychecks across the state. Again, with hard economic times coming, with concerns about inflation, we think this is the wrong time to be increasing taxes on people's paychecks. And then again, further looking ahead, we have the legislative calendar for committees in November. Right now, our staff will be attending many of those sessions, and then the legislature is scheduled to meet on January 10th. Again, we're not sure what kind of restrictions will be in place. Many meetings and hearings will be virtual. Our staff will be attending and participating in those, presenting our research at committee hearings. But our overall message is that COVID is no longer a short-term emergency. This is clearly a long-term public health situation that we need to deal with, and that therefore the governor should return to normal democracy in our state, where we can have public input, lawmakers can be involved, we can have regular public hearings about what our COVID and vaccine policy should be, and that the governor would return to governing the state in cooperation with our elected leaders. We hope that Jay Inslee will move in that direction. We do think it's time. It's not that COVID is going away. This is a serious health problem, but we're now at a point where the normal function of government should be able to deal with it. So we'll see how that process plays out. And that's it for now. And I'll be back with more updates in the future. Thanks.